If someone said to me, we have this musical, do you want to be in it? I would have said no. But when I heard that Baz Luhrmann was making a musical, the same guy that had done Romeo and Juliet and Strictly Ballroom, that's when I thought, this is interesting. So much a part of the Australian film industry, so many of the actors in it are Australian, and he really still embraces where he came from, and that's why I was so excited to go back and do the film there and work with a lot of the crew that I'd worked with when I was 15.
Action!
I play Satine. She sings and dances and is also a courtesan at the Moulin Rouge.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
And I got to wear the most beautiful costumes designed by Catherine Martin and Angus. Yeah, I'd have to spend 3 hours in the hair and makeup chair, just having, things painted on my face and jewels put in my hair and things sewn. The corset itself was just a complete nightmare because corsets are great for, an 18th century or 19th century drama where you can sit around and drink tea. But doing high kicks in a full corset, forget it. And the other girls, the Can-Can girls that wore it too, we'd all have bruises, our nerves went numb because of the whalebone sticking into us. It's just not pleasant, but as Baz would say, hey, it looks great. It wasn't just about, let's go and record in the studio and then we come on and lip sync to it. He really wanted us to challenge ourselves, and so we sang a lot of the numbers live. But that was pretty hair-raising at times. I just would think, Baz, there's 600 extras today, you're gonna make me sing in front of all these people. But as soon as I stepped into the character, I'd be able to do it. It was if I stayed as Nicole, thinking, I'm going to have to get up here in front of all these people and sing, and they're going to judge me and decide whether I can or can't. As soon as I was Satine, it became so much easier. So when I put on the top hat and the costume and the heels, the heels helped, I would be able to, I would lose my inhibition.
One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday.
Simple and very traditional and very emotional, but I think just the way in which he presents it is spectacular.
Just because
But I think it's also really important to have movies that are still trying something different. That's Baz Luhrmann. His whole filmmaking process is always about trying something different, pushing the envelope. And it was really one of those very unusual but creative and really satisfying kind of experiences.
It's ultimately about love, the whole thing. It's about being in love, and it's about love itself. But how he's achieving that is on a scale that I've never seen before in my life. It's quite enormous. I heard somebody speak of Baz, and I think it's true of the whole project, that it's kind of walking on a high wire without a net. Baz is unstoppable genius, really, and a perfectionist in the most beautiful sense of the word, He's quite amazing to work for, and he pushes you and stretches you, and it's a good job we made it in Australia, because we've had the best support that you could ever hope for here. I think we hear music on a different emotional level than we hear dialogue. So to start singing actually really nails the drama and focuses it really. Some of the lines are so simple that you can never speak those lines because they're too simple, But to be sung, it suddenly becomes really, really beautiful because of its simplicity.
never knew I could feel like this, like I've never seen the sky
I wear a blue suit throughout the whole piece, really. I wear tails and a collar, and then I wear a blue suit, and that's kind of me. Quite comfortable, really, compared to some of the things other actors are wearing.
Silly costume.
jokes.
It's quite amazing. We don't ever go outside. People ask when we're going to Paris, and we don't ever leave the studios. It's entirely shot indoors in the studios. I've never done that before. Catherine's kind of got such a great balance with the wardrobe and the sets. And it looks extraordinary. It's like a feast. It really is like a feast for the eyes, I think. You know, it's quite hard work because it's been quite a long shoot, and some of it's quite technically demanding. And I mean, I've met some amazing actors in this job. I didn't know Richard Roxburgh before I started this, who plays the Duke. I think I've become his biggest fan. I've watched most of his work now.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
My gift is my song, and this one's for you.
Your song. That's my first big number, and it's the first song that we shot. I'll never forget that because I went to see the rushes, which I don't often do, the following day just to see if it had worked, you know. It seemed to have worked.
Sat on the roof and I kicked off the moss. Well, some of these voices, well, they got me quite cross. But the sun's been kind while I wrote
because I've really enjoyed the singing and really enjoyed the recording. That's something I'd never done before, but I love it. I love it. It's quite hard work because it's been quite a long shoot. I really think it'll be like a treat. This film. I imagine it'll really blow everyone away.
Me and Baz were talking on the phone, and he said he had two parts that might be good for me, Toulouse or this unconscious Argentinian. And I said, unconscious Argentinian? I don't want to be unconscious. Baz is so different than all the other filmmakers out there. And he's very whimsical and theatrical, and his sense of reality is so different than all the other directors you ever work with. I mean, he's an inventive, imaginative person that you never know what you're gonna get when you show up. You know, he comes up with new ideas all the time. He's always thinking, always knows that things could be better. Incredibly humble too at the same time, which is really unique. I mean, it looks fantastic. I mean, it's the first time you've seen a person of my incredible height reduced to that height and still have, like, you know, ankles that move and a foot that moves, a prosthetic foot that looks like it's really connected to me. And I'm frozen. I can't really move like the other actors. I can't really jump around. Once the take is done, I have to sit there and wait. You know, it makes me feel more like Toulouse, because Toulouse-Lautrec was incapacitated that way. He couldn't really run around with the rest. He couldn't really dance, you know. So all of a sudden, I start feeling like Toulouse-Lautrec, and I feel like, God, I wish I could really draw, because right now I need to escape somehow. But no, I didn't have any training. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be singing that much in the movie. And when I got here, I realized it was going to be a lot more than I thought. So then they got us a coach to work with us.
Spectacular, spectacular, no words in the vernacular. Can't describe this great event, you'll be done with wonder.
I think the accent was really tough to maintain the English accent for 9 months. And being on my knees has been really tough. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. I guess the difference in working in a musical, I never worked in a musical my entire life. That feels really different than to doing regular movies is the bonding that does happen with the cast, and that you have to really work with each other and to help each other, because we all have to be in sync.
No matter what you say.
We all have to, you know, dance together, and what works for one person doesn't work for another, so you have to really collaborate. Such a different thing, it's a different process. You feel much more like a family than you do in other movies.
I play Harold Ziedler, the man who runs the Moulin Rouge. He's a larger-than-life character, very expansive, very loud, very emotional. I did quite a lot of dance and quite a lot of singing and pre-recording of some of the songs, stretching a lot of muscles that I haven't been stretched for a long time. And on top of your feet, you'll be involved artistically. And after every take, you get a mark on how good your lip sync was. And I try to keep it in the B's.
To invest.
Invest? Invest! Oh, yes, well, invest! Well, and this character is such a big character anyway. It's even when he's talking, he's almost singing or dancing. I mean, there's florid movement and loud voice, extreme gesture.
Everything's going so well!
A lot bigger than me. and he has a lot more hair. He's a fat man, so I have a fat suit covering the entire body. So, I mean, it's 2.5 hours every morning getting ready. But it's such a help, really. When you've got it all on, you think, oh, there's the character. Yes, I've got to go with him now. Baz is extraordinary. I mean, he's sort of obsession, but a love and a passion for his work. Absolutely vital, I think, but certainly in a big project. And he's got a most fantastic imagination. He pushes it right, pushing the film in every way. He's pushing it as far as it can possibly go, and that's terribly stimulating, very tiring and demanding on everyone. The whole cast is a very happy group. That's been great, working with a lot of Australian actors, and we're a happy bunch. Certainly unlike anything I've ever done before, and I don't think anyone I know has ever done anything like this before. I mean, it's on another level. It's huge and bright and rich and textured and noisy. Musicals, people don't make musicals, and these are big musical numbers.
He may seem a kind of innocuous, bumbling, socially extremely inept man, but there's a kind of darkness that lies underneath him that's actually quite frightening when it's revealed.
Silence!
You made me believe that you loved me. In crude terms, he's the bad guy. I understand Napoleon used to sleep for about 3 hours a night. Baz is the same. The work with him is about just positivity. It's just coming from a standpoint of we're here to enjoy it. Even when we're doing, incredibly long hours and really difficult stuff, the thing has to come from a position of joy in the work. Otherwise, it's not worthwhile doing. And that's really the way that I've always felt about this occupation. There has to be a kind of love in the work. And really, that's what he brings to it. He brings a complete energy of joy and love in what he's doing. And it's completely infectious. It goes through the entire cast and crew. Everybody feels it. I became interested in the idea of a sort of mouth thing, of a kind of strange rodent-y thing with the mouth, which I was working on during the workshop. There was a floppy hair thing that came with it in moments of rage, that when he would become angry, his hair would sort of flop around. I've possibly had the funniest professional time of my life working with Jim Broadbent. The week or so filming Like a Virgin was probably the funniest time of my life.
Like a virgin, watched for the very first time. Like a virgin, your heart's
And yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've walked into a new set, the set of the Great Hall, and thought it's like Cecil B. DeMille. It's that level of filmmaking that you don't see anymore anywhere, even in Hollywood. It's big and it's extravagant and it's exuberant, and I think musically, it's striking out in territory that I've never heard before.
In the same way that there's this quite indefinable special relationship that I have with Craig in the writing process, the same thing exists with Jill, because Jill came to the work, to Strictly Ballroom, on my very first film.
When I first met him, he said that he needed an older person with a young outlook, because he was a younger person with an older outlook. And we kind of hit it off together.
She was really an incredible teaching spirit, really, about film, about structure.
Baz is a great storyteller. Whether you meet him and he tells you a story, you're interviewing him, he gives you a good story. He is the divine storyteller.
And so a large part of the evolution of what is this red curtain cinematic form, a large part of that development has been shared in editorial between Jill and I. And so she has understood in all the different derivations of it exactly what the next step is in the development of red curtain cinema.
No matter what, even though this is a musical, the story still and the structure of the project is incredibly important.
We could not afford for a moment for the rhythm of story to fall behind, because we would lose the audience's commitment to the contract of the film.
A lot of the lyrics are storytelling lines, and it's about, we don't want it to appear like a normal musical where you stop and sing a number. It has to be integrated.
My dear, I should like a glass of champagne.
No! It's a little bit funny.
What is?
This feeling inside.
This is also highly laced with humour and tragedy, as well as music.
Diamonds, best friend.
We talk a long time before the movie's made and pre-visualise things. You know, we found some old footage of the turn of the century in Paris and got that together of can-can dances and makeup tests and rehearsals, and fiddled around with it and got other images. And so we kind of like visually storyboard out of existing material. I feel like that there will be yet a reinvention of style somehow that comes out of this. And that's when I do all those little clips and things. Sometimes I stumble across something that I find can unlock a door to push it into another area stylistically.
It's more than I can stand.
Because, you know, I've got these fantastic sets and costumes and extraordinary actors. I mean, Ewan and Nicole are fantastic, and all the supports are incredible. And Baz's imagination, like every day when something comes in, you feel excited again. When you look at something, you think, great, that's really, really good. And, you know, I feel that it's, you know, it's just, I'm lucky to have that material. We want to bring back the musical to everybody.